We did it. Oh,
What's going on, man? It's Stephen Costa, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy, and we're back with another episode of the Right Quality Podcast. Bro, what?
no. You would not understand anyone at home. We did the intro already. This is part 2. It was never recording. And now, we're not faking the funk. All of these intros are brand new, fresh set. I had one that's in the depths of the Zoom catacombs. I'm gonna bring it back in like 2 or 3 episodes, but I had to give you guys something new. I was the mic for a second. How y'all doing? Miguel, if this is your first episode, if you're not a friend of mine and you don't know me already.
We have a great episode for y'all today. Like I can tell it's gonna be great based off of
Oh
what
yeah.
we didn't record.
Oh man, come on
But
now.
we essentially we are having a conversation trying to define what an NBA superstar is in 2023. Like,
Okay.
and who are the locks? Who are the people that are borderline? Who's on the bubble? Like, there are tiers when it comes to superstars, or like trying to determine if you are a superstar in the league today. I feel like if you take like the top 15 to 20 players in the league, you can break them down into probably about 3 tiers, which is the as I mentioned. So yeah, but let's just jump right in and kind of try to define this criteria. So in our list, I think the first thing that we mentioned was like consistently playing at an MVP caliber level. So what is MVP caliber level, and then how long does someone have to be playing at that level for us to say no, like they're a superstar?
Yeah, like they have to at least be, if they were talking, oh yes, they're a superstar in today's game, like they have to be in the MVP conversation for like at least that year. Like for saying that you're a superstar, like it has to be rung. Like yes, they're balling this year, but I think if we're talking consistency over time, if they've played a long enough time, at the minimum, 5 all-star appearances, I think, and we discussed in our previously recorded pod that is defunct, 8 in the East, 3 or 2 in the West, because it's tougher in certain spots. Yeah. But we've seen Jaylen Brown become an all-star in the East. How many times is he a superstar? Like, sorry to
like one.
He got, oh my God. But see, was Mike Conley a superstar when he got that 150 mil at that time?
He probably would not have been considered one at that time.
No. So it's like, even though, most paid, most overrated now, it's how it goes. So, and like, you have to be the leader of your team. You have to, like, if you're going to be a superstar, you have to be the one. Like, you got to be, you can't be the Robin. You have to be, we might have a Robin in our top 20, self-proclaimed Robin, but
I agree. If you are a superstar lock, you are not a Robin.
You got to be the one to like when we're buying this ticket, who are we going to see? I'm going to see Jaylen Brown.
That's so disrespectful.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but everyone's got the Tatum jersey. Hell, I've seen Al Horford jerseys. Hey. Dominicans represent. Dominicans stand up.
You really got something against Jaylen Brown and Boston. The people be seeing it. The people
Boston, yeah. The people. What? Are there people comment about it? I haven't. I've gotten heat from Heat fans for saying that. What I've said that I will not repeat. I've learned. Dog. Jaylen Brown is a serviceable NBA player, but he is not a superstar. Like, if you got one hand to drive, you're not a superstar. Let's keep it up.
Hey, the strays are insane.
I'm not trying to be at least Jason Tatum, like, he's got the sidestep hezzy, and then, he goes from left to right. It's there, I'm not trying to disrespect, because, like, it's Jaylen Brown. But at the same time, like, every star can have their glaring faults. Every superstar can even have one.
Mm-hmm.
but glaring ones, like glaring ones that keep you from attaining your success. Like in those, okay, to put it on wax, you have to be great in big moments too. Like even if it's a weakness, in those moments where the heat is turned up, you got to show out. Like that's definitely one of them. Even though Giannis can't shoot a lick from the line, and he's had 8 different shooting coaches, he went 17 for 19 in the finals. We got a chip, So that's a superstar stepping up to the plate when it matters most. Even though he's ass from the line, that's my guy. I can, I'm a Bucks fan. I can keep it a buck. If Oppenheimer doesn't get it right and I'm seeing Rudy Gobert hit 3 after 3, I'm going to lose my mind. You saw the clips. Oh, wait, is he in our top 20? Oh, no.
That's sick. The strays are insane. But okay, all right.
Hey, man.
Sorry. Getting back on course.
DPOY's got to be there. That's credentials.
Do they? I mean, that's a good argument. Somebody's probably gonna argue him to be in there. But
shout out to my French fans.
You're sick. But
somewhere.
Next thing on the criteria list is playoff performance. So I think your play has to elevate in the playoffs if you're a superstar. Yes. I think that should be a given. And elevate can be relative because it doesn't necessarily mean statistically that it always look like it may not always be statistical elevation, but if your impact changes,
it's greater.
Yeah, like if the eye test of it all, like you should definitely be passing the eye test with flying colors as a super, even if the numbers don't say it, like just off of like looking at it on paper type of thing. So like
another name, I been watching more of his pod. It's hilarious. PG, guys like that are like, really, really good players every moment of time. But then the playoffs, something happens. As much as I love my guy, CP3, the GOAT, something happens in the playoffs. There's a boogeyman. Someone put a hex on my man. He had Golden State in a chokehold, and then his hammy said no. And then James Harden and company won a trick 26 threes straight, 20 however many.
Oh, that was so bad to watch. My God.
Oh my. Not a layup to be seen.
Yeah. Gotta elevate in the playoffs.
Russ,
Yeah, and it's hard because you got some guys like for PG. I feel like PG has got a lot. He's had a lot of bad breaks in the playoffs, but he's also had moments where he didn't step up.
Dog, quite literally, there's an 11-minute compilation of game winners being hit on Paul George.
That's so sick.
No, I pardon my language, I shit you not. There's an 11-minute comp of him hand dotted up. Dog, it's crazy. That's crazy. If I have 11 minutes of footage.
That's tough. Damn.
That's hard. But I commend him for, always being there. Like, shouts out Rudy Gobert for being on those posters because, someone's got to be there. Oh. Say, hell, I tried. If there's any evidence of like, who didn't do their job, Rudy's like, hey, see that poster there? I was there. Albeit late, I was there.
I don't know how you do this disrespect. I really don't.
It's truly not disrespect. Everyone's in a catch and L on the basketball court sometimes. Is how you respond. You can't cry. You didn't make the All-Star game. It's not superstar material. It's good. I mean, once again, for my young boys and men out there, it's okay to show emotion. It's, not trying to say don't. But that's.
Talk about that's not it.
No, if it's for MVP, I got you. For DPOY, I mean, defense wins championships. Don't get me wrong. But if it's for, well, no, wait, this is for an all-star selection. Oh, hell. Sorry. You can't be. I'm sorry. I know you work hard to get there. I've said it on our all-star episodes. I want to see that. Put that away. If you're shooting threes out there, Rudy, sure. Why not?
No. we're not going to even keep giving Rudy Gobert this time of day because he's not even on our list of 20. So
he is not his counterpart, the man that actually leads the team.
Indeed. Yeah. And there was another teammate that would have made it before him anyway. So yeah, it's neither here nor there. But third on the criteria list, longevity of dominance and or greatness.
Yep, asterisks. Like in relation to their time.
Yes.
In the league as well. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess it would be better to say consistently dominant or consistently playing at a great level or having great impact.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Two-way authentication is fair, but I think it's really interesting because I think it's really interesting because I think there could potentially be some superstar locks who may not be authenticated
in both ways.
Both ways.
I'm thinking who.
Oh, I mean, I can think of two.
What I mean,
we have
score a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten to the locks yet, but when we get there, I mean, we can talk about it.
Oh yeah, no, we'll discuss. But yes, once again though, like they rise to the challenge in moments, you know.
Yeah, on both ends of the ball.
You know? Yep. Yeah, I think that's fair. Like they have to at least be serviceable. When James Harden was a superstar, he stole the ball a couple of times, and we're like, he plays defense. Like he had that no look strip. That was tough. That took him. That saved him 2 years of playing defense.
Hey man,
like look, that's tough. And then we were like, he's a super because he was scoring 60 though. He's scoring 60 a game for like 2 months.
Yeah, I mean,
triple doubles.
I mean, when you score on that level, that can make you a superstar.
Yeah, it's like who cares if I play defense? I just contributed for 90 of the team's points.
Yeah, literally.
Like go crazy. Do a no look steal.
There's versus.
You know.
You petty for keep bringing up this no look steal.
It was tough. No, I'm not petty. I'm a fan of it. If I could I'd had that on one of my point guards today. I knew he was gonna sweep that thing back. I said, "Yeah, no, I think that was tough." I'm a fan. Sorry, I didn't mean to bust out that he might not be on our list. But yeah, when I say was a superstar, because it's just like now we're at a point where it's just like.
Yeah.
Can he produce at that level? Is he still producing at that level? So,
And that's just what that is. I think we can all agree that he is in the decline of his career. It does not mean that he is not productive or serviceable. He just in comparison to his peak, he's in a decline. So that's all it really is. But yeah, we kind of mentioned them earlier, but consecutive all-star appearances or like a set amount of all-star appearances comparable to, your time in the league. And being an all NBA selection, like you said, making one of those 3 teams, whether that be all NBA or all defensive even as well. But I feel like if you make an all defensive, those numbers have to be like relatively insane on top of like other numbers that matter, and all the other aspects have to be there as well.
Yeah, like number 1 defense, or like
you can be a serviceable defensive person, but not be a superstar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, or you could be like a defensive anchor, but that doesn't make you a superstar. You know what I mean? So,
Brook Lopez.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Jaren Jackson.
Yeah. Perfect examples. So I think that's the criteria that we're looking at in terms of defining a superstar. So now, who are your locks, bro? Who do you feel like is no argument in the superstar tier?
I think there are five players that come to mind currently where I'm like, ooh.
There are 5 current players that are superstar,
like no question. And it might be 6. I might have to throw someone in there. Could be 7, could be 8. Let's just throw them out. Okay. It's definitely the king, LeBron James.
Lebanon,
the GOAT.
Lebanon.
Giannis.
Yeah.
The GOAT. I'm gonna say it again. Steph. KD. The Joker. And then if I'm gonna say like, no, I'm gonna leave it there. Like for sure, locks. Like all have rings, all have MVPs for sure. Those are like locks, solidified. I'm gonna leave it there because I have two more names that I want to say. Actually, I have one more name, Kawhi Leonard, because also has a ring, also has an MVP. And as you know, I'm going to reference a list we talked off.
Kawhi has 2 finals MVPs. He doesn't have a regular season MVP.
He does have 2 finals MVPs. Ooh, wait. I don't know, though. Those are cooler. Finals MVPs are pretty dope.
They are.
I'm going to give him it. 2 chips for 2 different teams.
2 different.
And one, yep. And I know he's been hurt. I know, we could say that he's lost it, but when he's playing on no cartilage and going crazy. Like,
that's crazy to say, but you're not.
No, he was begging them to play on the torn meniscus, and they were like, "No, we can't." And I was also like, "I hate you, Clippers. Why are you doing this? If he wants to play, let the man play." But we're looking at a possible. No, I'm not going to say it. I want to put the energy out there, but Portland scenario. That's all I'll say.
So, is Joel Embiid not a lock? Not a superstar lock?
I'm biased. I'm a hater. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a hater for this team alone. For Philly, for sure. No ring. No Western Conference appearance. No Eastern Conference Finals appearance. Like we're talking about criteria, playoff performance. Like he's had consistency, even when he's came back hurt. He's hooped. Multiple MVP conversations. I mean, he begged for this one.
He did.
That's I'm not gonna forget what happened.
He's been as deserving of one in the last 3 years, just as much as Jokic has.
He was in the conversation. He's for sure in the conversation. Like that's
for 2 years in a row, he was second.
Yep. But Jokic, he's deserved it this year. He for sure deserved it this year. And there was some hijinks that happened there. But so now he's in that conversation because of that.
I don't know, man.
I say yes. I say yes as a hater. I can't, I can't fake the funk. He's a hooper. Okay. But at the same time, it's like I'm gonna throw then Luka's in there because he made it to the Western Conference Finals first. Jason Tatum made it to a finals.
I'd agree though.
But
has Tatum reached superstar status?
I think he was talked about being there the year before this, and I think he's solidified that he belongs.
Is he a lock? Like he is undoubtedly going into this season a superstar. He belongs in the same list as the players we've named.
Say the criteria once again.
Consistently playing at an MVP level, being in MVP conversations, elevated playoff performance, longevity or consistency of dominance, greatness.
Yep, he's shown that.
Two-way authentication.
Yep.
Consecutive All-Star appearances.
Yep.
75% All-NBA selections.
We gotta do that math. I don't know about the All-NBA.
He has made 3 All-NBA teams.
Look at that mental math. Jesus Christ, 3 out of 6.
His 6.
50%. It's tough. Because we have to take into account those first 2 years, you were a mere rookie and sophomore,
And so you were playing with Kyrie.
Yes. So it's But so that's essentially 75% of his real NBA career. That's 3 out of 4. If you take away his rookie sophomore year,
I mean,
he's
but even his rookie year, he was all rookie first team.
oh yeah, that's something. Who's rookie of the year that year? Was it Ben Simmons? Was that the Ben Simmons Donovan Mitchell argument? Is that where that beef started?
No, but I don't know who won it. Was it Donovan? No, it wasn't. No, Donovan didn't win that. I feel like
What year was that?
that was
Who
17.
that
That was
draft?
Fultz,
Jason Tatum,
Lonzo
Fultz.
Ball, De'Aaron Fox, Donovan Mitchell, Bam.
Yeah, so that had to be the Donovan Mitchell Ben Simmons beef because Ben Simmons didn't play the year before. So then if Donovan got drafted that year, yeah.
So did Ben? Oh, Ben won that year.
I'm a historian over here. Come on now, getting it right off rip somehow, some way. I forgot that Donovan Mitchell was in that draft. That's a great draft class right there.
It's a decent draft class.
Yeah, for what was supposed to be like, okay, dope.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I think he's entering superstardom. He is taking his step in. He is acknowledged as being a leader of a franchise, even though he's getting paid not like the leader of the franchise.
That's tough. He'll get it though.
He will. He deserves it. Who's in that combo next then? After Tatum.
The only other person that I think can be in there or in the conversation is Luka
Yep. But I think he's proved it.
as a lock. I mean, we've seen Luka's play elevate in the playoffs. From a scoring standpoint and from an offensive standpoint, we've seen him put up crazy number and already break a lot of records. With it only being year 5.
Yeah.
Is that right? Year 5?
I think he's got to be there. Do we think that someone else, another Western Conference guard, deserves to be in there?
Not as a lock.
Not as a lock?
I don't think there's any other player that I would argue as a lock as a superstar right now. Maybe on their way, maybe somebody who will be there in 2-3 years as some of the older players that are solidified start to their decline or retire or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other lock after Luka. And Tatum makes for a great argument.
My other guard that I was gonna hit you with in that list for a Western Conference guard, I'm switching it from someone that was in Memphis to someone that's in Dallas, also with Luka. Kyrie. Do you think that he has fit enough of the mold to be considered a superstar? In terms of play style, in terms of eye test, consistency, albeit he's been in and out for various reasons. Is he someone that you're like, yeah, like I'll take him over anyone else on that list? He's a champion. And then since then, he's just kind of like, if we're giving Kawhi the benefit of the doubt for missing because of injury, Kyrie has missed, a year for, we know, we don't need to say it. It's dark days, dark times. And then after that, he's been in and out with injury, but he dropped 60. Like, he was one of the highest scorers 2 seasons ago. Like, that was the highest scoring game. It was him and Cat. And then this past year was like Luka and Donovan Mitchell. Oh my God. Spoiler alert, another guard that may be fringe list, but I think Kyrie maybe has more of a argument just for the fact of like getting that chip in Golden State, beating a super team like that.
So I feel like I can't really argue anything that you said, right? Kyrie is entering year 13 or 12. Yeah, year 13.
13, look at that mental math.
He's an 8-time NBA All-Star. out of 13 seasons. In the years that he was not an all-star, he was either injured or was not playing.
Yes.
For the most part.
Yep.
He only has 3 all NBA selections, and he doesn't have a first team selection.
Okay. That's tough. The criteria is a criteria. Like we don't,
He is an NBA champion.
Olympic gold medalist.
Huh?
Olympic gold medalist.
Is an Olympic gold medalist. I don't know if we can count Olympic gold medals in terms of being an NBA superstar, like for the league, but I mean, worth throwing in there, I guess. He's not. I don't think he's. I don't think he's completely authenticated as
no. But in playoff moments, he has. You're right. That block on Steph, I remember before he broke his knee.
So he does have elevated playoff performance. I think what hurts his argument for a superstar is I don't think he's consistently been dominant. Whether that now, granted, I will say that a lot of times it's just been his lack of availability. Typically, on average, if he's available and if he's playing, he's going to present an issue. He's going to put up superstar numbers, arguably. But I think because you cannot count on it, or you haven't been able to count on it really post-championship, but since you haven't really been able to count on the consistency, it's kind of hard to consider you a superstar.
That's fair. No, that's absolutely fair.
So while I get it's a similar argument to Kawhi, Kawhi's lack of availability has been more about a lingering issue, like a lingering injury, than it has where Kyrie's, some of it has been almost by choice.
Yes. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Your choice is your choice, but in us having this conversation, I have to acknowledge that, and that's why I feel like he's not locked.
No, that's fair. I think that's a great, correct assessment of it.
So
even though he's I test all the NBA fans would be like, oh no, he's a superstar. Like, what do you mean?
So these are our superstar locks: Bron, Giannis, Steph, KD, Joker, Kawhi, Embiid, Luka, Tatum.
That's fair.
9.
I think that's fair. There are 9 superstars. Anything else is just bloat. Before we get to this player, I saw a really funny tweet. I'm going to censor one of the words, but it's like, dudes don't even like Paul George as a hooper. They just like the way his body moves in the court.
Interesting.
And I was like, that's a fair assessment. He has an aesthetically pleasing game, like a Melo. I
agree with that.
Another thing where it's like the Steph versus Kyrie, who you take in debate, is much more closer to Bron versus Melo, in the sense that one player is clearly better in every other thing, but the other player does stuff with more technique or, isolated, stylistic play that just like is more aesthetically pleasing. And they're like, oh, it should be that close to the combo.
I think both of those simply comes down to, like you said, one is the better overall player and one is the better scorer.
Yep.
And they play the same position and have not similar skill sets necessarily, but they're comparable because one's just that great offensively and one's just that great of a player.
Yeah. Yep.
That's all. That's all it is. And they're relatively close, like in age, and their careers are somewhat paralleled, somewhat, not so much.
Being star guards.
Yeah,
truly is.
So that's that. But okay, so who is borderline? Who is a borderline superstar in the league?
I think so. Borderline being the definition that they're close to being it.
Mhm.
Going there, I would say borderline. It's got to be like guys like PG.
Okay.
Got to be guys like Donovan Mitchell,
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker, Trey Young. Because like they've been to points. They have like how we were talking about Embiid, where it's just like, yeah, like he hasn't made it to Western Conference Finals. Trey Young has made it to Eastern Conference Finals. I keep saying that. Yeah, Trey Young's been to an Eastern Conference Finals. Devin Booker's been to finals.
So
Someone else I'm missing that I just mentioned.
is
Jimmy Butler made it to 2 finals, you know?
okay. So right now we have 5 borderline superstars. We have PG, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Trey Young, Dame. Ja.
Ja. Yeah. Dame is a great one because it's like he's a hooper, but it's like, you know, he hasn't made it anywhere.
So Dame is not a suit like a lock at superstar.
I personally, I would say so. Like you put Dame in Golden State, you put Steph in Portland. What happens? I'm not saying that like they're going to be the same dynasty that they are now, but man, when I see him shoot, it's crazy sometimes. Like is it like it's kind of like Harden, where it's like he's putting up numbers. It's just like, you know, watch, he goes to Miami to make it to a finals. Like then it's like, oh, we might have a conversation. If he has an MVP season, but he's never been mentioned for like an MVP season really ever. His All NBA time is not expansive because he's a guard in the West. He's also been injured throughout his career. So like in terms of consistency, playoff performance, I mean, he definitely shows out. He has all-time great moments, but you know, it's hard. It's hard to give the benefit of the doubt. If we're not giving Kyrie that benefit because he's got a chip, then I don't know if we give it to Dame.
That's what I was going to say. So I was going to say, if we're saying that Kyrie is not, I think it's really hard to say that Dame should be because Dame hasn't had the postseason success that Kyrie has had. Offensively, go ahead.
Teammate of the Year award.
I'm not doing this with you.
Come on now.
So Damian Lillard has played in 11. He's played in 11 NBA seasons.
Yep.
He is a 7-time NBA All-Star.
Okay.
7 out of 11 seasons. He has 7 All-NBA selections. One first team, 4 second teams, and 2 third teams. So he has 7 All-NBA selections out of 11.
Interesting. So he might have more of a case than Kyrie. Why did Kyrie not get in? What was happening a lot of those years?
I don't know. It might have been years that he didn't.
Injuries. Because yeah, availability.
But that is.
He was all NBA 75 for a reason. That's what I'm saying. When you test it, some guys are just like, yeah, like Dame is still a superstar. Like he's still impacting teams on a super high level.
Here's what I'll say. Based off criteria, Dame has a better argument. Yeah. I still think that as clutch as Dame is, I think some of the postseason, maybe not blunders, but the lack of success in the postseason in situations where they had the opportunity to be more successful than they were, like when they did have their best teams in Portland, it's not so much that he didn't show up, but
they got swept and stuff, you know.
Yeah,
and also the team composition was just like
his play didn't necessarily elevate the team. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I hate to make that sound like a knock toward him, but in this case, I think if we are going to look at reasons why we aren't considering Kyrie to be a lock,
we got to look at that too.
Why we can't make Dame a lock, but both would be in here.
Like guys like AD.
So is AD borderline?
Two-way authentication. He's got a chip. He's been mentioned MVPs when he's like healthy for like half a season, and then he gets hurt. what he's probably got some all NBA selections. He's probably got a considerable amount of all stars. He is also one where it's just like I think he's borderline though because availability. He's known as Mr. Glass. Like we get to see him for half a season sometimes. Like sucks. Same with Kawhi though, but Kawhi has 2 chips and 2 Finals MVPs.
So Anthony Davis also has played 11 seasons.
Yep.
8-time NBA All-Star.
Okay.
And this was 8 consecutive until 2021.
Yep.
He is 4-time All NBA selection, All First Team, and he's a 4-time All Defensive selection, 2 First Team, 2 Second Team. He's been the NBA block leader for 3 seasons.
Okay.
Yeah, he has to be borderline.
It's just he's on the decline.
That's the hard part. I don't know if I feel like he's more stagnant than declining.
Fair.
I don't think he dropped. It's a weird space though. Like he's not. I don't think that he's slowing down. I think that he just hasn't been able to elevate to the level that we all know that feel like he can be at.
He's inconsistent.
He hasn't been available. He hasn't been consistent. So I think that's more so the knock. But that's what's so weird because AD should be a lock as a superstar. Skill set, like way you can impact the game. The two-way authentication is there.
It's everything.
The numbers are going to be there if he plays the season. That we've seen the stretches that he can go on. So I think the only thing that stops him is that he isn't consistent because you can't count on him to be available, therefore not being able to make him a lock. But definitely like he's borderline.
Shea is on that list.
He is. Oh my God.
Very, very close. Like points leader, if not second to Bron this year. Elevated his team. They just haven't seen the playoffs. They didn't have their best draft pick from last year. Like they were making it work with like no center. Like he's tough. He's just a tough cover. Like he's a bucket. He can find his teammates. His pace is incredible. Like plays defense. It's just they haven't made the noise in the playoffs yet. That's I think the only thing holding him back. I think personally, I think Ant's got to be on the list.
I think Ant is on the bubble.
So let's get to that on the bubble list then.
So on the bubble, I feel like are players who, and it gets tricky because I would say that maybe some of the borderline players might be more so on the bubble than borderline because just the way we have it split up, I don't think we have 9 superstars and 10 borderline superstars.
I think AD goes on the bubble. I
would leave AD with the asterisk of if this season is like all the other seasons, then he begins to be on the bubble for me. But if AD can string together a season of being healthy, if AD can play 80% of a season, just 80%. If you can play 80% of a season.
Okay, well then Trae Young goes on the bubble.
I agree.
There's one other person that belongs on the bubble as well. And I think it's maybe, this is going to sound ludicrous. This is going to sound pretty crazy. I think it's Devin Booker.
No.
Who else is on that list? Who else goes? Kyrie?
No. Honestly, I hate to say it. I think SGA has to go down. I think Shea has to go down. Only because he has to do it for another season. So last year was such a drastic leap, right? From where he was the year before. Granted, he's been kind of steadily getting there, but last year was like his arrival in the sense of like, nah, like this is my team. I'm him. I'm one of the best guards,
Yeah.
in the league, one of the best two guards, one of the best scorers in the league. This was his first season stamping that. I think before we can call him borderline, because you gotta think he doesn't necessarily have the accolades yet. I think he's only of like a fifth year player. If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, I think he's going into year 5.
The only reason why I say Devin Booker and not SGA is
That's
just
that's wild. That's wild to say that.
what?
Well, okay, finish your statement first.
The only reason I say that is because I feel like Devin Booker is more in a place that Trae Young is at than what SGA is. I think if we're looking at trajectory and how things should be going or were going, Phoenix has had, so like you have KD and you make it to a lesser spot than when you had Mikael Bridges, Cam Johnson, whatever. Like this was supposed to be the move to like this was champion. This is a chip, and then second round exit, and then this year I think adds more pressure to it because now if it doesn't work this year, what's gonna happen? Like then we're. I think it's also like the AD thing where it's like if Devin Booker can have a successful season where it's like they make a considerable amount of noise in the playoffs, I think then it's fine. But if it's like another second round exit with KD, Brad Beal, and they've stacked the cards like this for your team, and you're struggling to make it out of the second round, I know the West is stacked, but like, I feel like there has to be more of a debate on like where you're actually at and how much impact you truly have. Because Trae Young is kind of at that spot too, where it's like that Eastern Conference Finals is great, and like your team is like giving you all of this stuff, but what are we doing with it?
I'm hearing you.
Like Shea has done more with less. That's all I'm saying. Not to say that like Devin Booker isn't a good player. It's just that you know
So
it's hard. It's where it gets muddy.
so smaller sample size. That's where it comes down to for me, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So what I think we can't discredit, where I won't discredit Book is Book has been playing at the level. He's been at this level for
3-4 years now.
I'd say like maybe even the year before the bubble.
Yeah, because like,
we started to see that we could get that type of production out of him. Phoenix started to get better as the team got better, but Booker's been playing at this level
for a while,
as about 3-4 seasons, right?
Yeah.
So got to give him that.
Yep.
I don't think from a number standpoint, like Book isn't. I don't think Book's numbers necessarily help the case from a criteria standpoint. But what I will say about Shea is, again, last season was Shea's kind of foray. Like last season was when Shea got thrown into this conversation. First All-Star selection, first All-NBA selection. Like, so that just happened. So that's like, if we see him come back, All-Star selection or All-Star starter, because I thought he should have been All-Star starter last year, me personally. But if he comes back, another All-Star selection. If he comes back, another All-NBA team selection. And then you add in, okay, got OKC to the playoffs, play in or not, like, but got further than where they got last year. Then it's like, okay, now he starts to inch his name closer. And then, like you said, if Booker and them fall short again, then that gap is shortened more. And now I think after this season, that would be a more accurate conversation than trying to say that right now. So that would be my argument for Book staying and SGA going to on the bubble, because I just feel like outside of like some of the hardware, Book covers every category essentially in regards to the criteria. So even though he's not in the realm of the superstar locks just yet, I feel like he has to be in that borderline conversation. I wouldn't feel comfortable putting him on the bubble like that. I feel like that would be a discredit. That would be because Booker has been in the league for 8 years. He has 3 All-Stars. And,
Okay.
and the only reason he didn't make this past All-Star was injury.
Yep.
And so he would be 4 out of his 8. But he only has 1 All-NBA selection, which was last year.
Okay.
So, but again, I think if you look at the back half of his career, I think if you look at the last 4 years, you've seen him start to enter, like you see him starting to enter that conversation. He just has to, is he going to ascend past people?
Yeah.
Just haven't seen that yet.
They were talking like him and DeAndre Ayton were Kobe and Shaq when we were facing the finals. That was crazy. And like this finals, they did it again with like Jamal and Jokic, which cool. But I remember when they were doing that, and I was like, "We for real right now? They're up 2-0. Are we for real right now? We're giving them Kobe Shaq comparisons.
Hey man,
Grow up."
So okay, so what I will say is, I think Booker stays, but I think I move Donovan Mitchell to being on the bubble.
That's fair. That's yeah. I think that's more than fair.
Yeah. So borderline now has PG, Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler. Oh, that was who else? Ja's on the bubble too.
I was actually gonna say,
should Ja stay?
I see, because then I'm looking at guys like Jimmy and Paul George, and I'm like, do they have the capability to make it to superstar now? Or are we on that back half? And are guys like Ja borderline and they have the possibility to ascend?
Here. So that's interesting. That's really interesting. I think you make a valid point. I think for a PG, I don't think
the window's bigger for him than it is for Jimmy Butler.
Yes. But I also think that's just because of PG's skill set. I think what keeps
and his placement,
what has kept PG out of this space is that really ever since coming back from the injury, he's shown that like he can be that player. I think that he just hasn't been able to string together a season without the injury bug hitting him and taking him out for a substantial
his shoulder was killing him for a while.
Either for a substantial time during the regular season or at like just the most inopportune time in the playoffs, he's become unavailable. And it's just been like last year just felt like bad luck because as the Clippers started to seem like they were figuring it out, he goes down like a month before, the season ends. And then, Kawhi goes down after the first game or two. So it was a real bad stretch of luck, which is why that flop in the bubble is starting to look so bad now because they haven't gotten any closer.
That was the window. That was it.
That was the window,
That killed him.
But PG I think because of PG's skill set, the two-way authentication, the fact that I think PG could be, because of that two-way authentication, with the right, if PG was the focal point, his numbers and impact in that regard would put him in the conversation. I mean, he was at a certain point. Like I think it was the year that I think it was Giannis's first one. I think it was Giannis's first MVP when it was Giannis, Harden, and him as the finalist. And I think that to be 19. So like that's 4 years ago where like he was in that realm. And it's not like that production has dropped when he's available. It's more so than because he's not available and can't stay on the court type of deal. So I think that is more so the kicker of that situation.
You're right.
Yeah. And so
Jimmy gets bumped down to on the bubble because like he's hit his ceiling. We know what he is. Great offseason, phenomenal performance. But Jimmy player.
So Jimmy's tough because Jimmy has this insane elevation come playoff time. That's hard because how hard or how strict are you on seeing it in the regular season if you can trust that you'll get it if you all make the playoffs? That's where I feel like it's hard for Jimmy, because it's not like Jimmy doesn't play at a superstar level. And if he's playing at a superstar level when it matters, how can I knock you for not doing it consistently through the regular season, even though when I need you to show up, you show up?
Yeah.
So that's why the only reason I'd move Ja out that list is because I feel like when you look at PG, Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, Dame, Kyrie, AD, I feel like I don't want to go as far. It's like I don't know if Ja fits
He
yet.
didn't put the he hasn't put the time in yet.
He hasn't put the time in yet to be there. And it'd be different if maybe some of the playoff series went a little differently. Like
Yeah, but
if last year if they had beat Golden State.
Yeah.
And this year, if not for all the extra BS and they get out the first round, then maybe. As great as an offensive, like, highlight film that Ja is, I think right now he's more on the bubble because we see more of Ja's potential to be there than what Ja has like stamped or shown us as far as being there. So that's why I would move him to on the bubble. And I like how that balances out because we have 9 superstar locks, we have 6 borderline superstars, and then we have 4 or 5 if you include Ant in there of on the superstars. So with Ant rounding that out, I think that puts us at like 21 total players. But essentially, let's run through and go through a summary of where we at. So are on the bubble superstars, right? Excuse me. Are on the bubble superstars. These are superstars these are players that have shown potential of being a superstar. They just aren't borderline yet because we kind of need to see it. We need to see the consistency more so. We need to see it for another season or two and see more impact with their teams before we throw them in that borderline. Like it's still kind of early for them. So that's Trae Young, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Donovan Mitchell, John Morant.
Perfect. Ant-Man, correct?
And and Anthony Edwards.
Yep.
Borderline superstars. So these are superstars. So these are players that you can make arguments for them being superstars, but they just maybe they're not the most that maybe they haven't shown that you can count on them just yet.
Yeah.
They haven't stamped themselves in the sense of like, I can pull through in this moment and do this by myself, or because they have not been, because availability is an issue. We can't lock them in as a superstar because we don't know if they'll be available.
Yes. Yep. That's perfect.
I think that's the case for 2 in particular on this list.
But
PG, so Paul George, Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, Dame, Kyrie, AD. Players that can easily be in the conversation, players that I would definitely hear an argument for, but based on the criteria we're using, I think they fall on the borderline, like I said, because of either, availability or because we just haven't seen them pull through in moments to like get over said hump. Like I said, Kyrie's a different case because he's the only person on this list that actually has a ring. AD has a ring. Don't want to disrespect that, so it's more so about availability in that regard. But everybody on this list is offensively talented or like has a huge impact on their team. It's just they're not necessarily in this other tier of the superstar locks. And we have 9 superstar locks. So we have Bron, Giannis, Steph, KD, Jokic, Kawhi, Embiid, Luka, Tatum.
And that's fair. I think that list is pretty solid, airtight.
I'm not mad at it. I mean, I don't think in terms of superstar locks, based on the criteria, I'm not really I mean, it would be interesting to see what arguments somebody might have, but I think all things considered, I think that's a pretty. I think the only person that might get argued on the superstar lock list, is Tatum. I think that's the only person people may actually argue against.
Yeah, I think we're gonna hear chirps of like, oh, where's James Harden? Where's his mention? Where's Russell Westbrook? Where's guys like CP3? I think we've talked about that though. It's like current day superstars. Like who is a right now, they're a superstar. And in their careers, those three were certainly superstars. And they're going down as Hall of Famers, all three of them. But right now, they're not pushing the needle. Like wherever they go. Like it's not James Harden's maybe the only one that's still like considered a blockbuster trade if he gets moved, but we can still see that he's on his decline. CP3 is on his. Russ doesn't look the same as prime Brody. You know, it's just like that's who we'll take right now. Like guys like Jaylen Brown that are up and coming could certainly be close to there. Chet Holmgren, Victor Wembanyama, Dylan Brooks. You know,
see now you
young guys that still have time to show their greatness and their prowess.
Yeah. Now you trolling, but yeah, man. No, and I think it's interesting even to like think of those players because we won't say it, but we have a list of who we consider no order to be the top 20 players in the league. So we're gonna drop that list. And we definitely want to see if you all agree, if you all feel like we missed somebody. But hey, man, no, I think we gave y'all a great episode. This one, man. Definitely let us know thoughts. Do you agree with our tiers? Did we misplace people? Let us know. We want to hear all the takes, all the opinions, all of that. I want y'all to get on Miguel as always, because he
I was about to say something crazy. I was about to get the Heat fans back on me. We're good. But I think I didn't piss anyone off this episode. I like I said, I kept it a buck.
You might have. I'm telling you. Them Jaylen Brown fans, them Boston fans, they coming for you.
Like the two Jaylen Brown fans. Sorry, as someone that shares my last name, not by spelling, but shouts out Brown family. I bet they're going crazy. They don't care about what I'm saying. You got three. If anyone in Jaylen Brown circle gets this, and I get fired on in some sort of way, and just like, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, he's making $307 million. If any of this affects him in any sort of way, good for us. But there's no way in hell. This is unfiltered. When we make it and then this gets resurfaced and I'm, cool with all them, like, oh, you said all that. I'm like, yeah. I was just talking shit. I don't know what I was saying that day.
Crying.
It was hot. It was hot in my apartment. I was getting cooked like Tyrese. I didn't know. Yeah, I said that.
Look, man.
I'm crazy.
I gotta stop giving Miguel this free time at the end of episodes because
it's the best part. Because we have so much before and it gets lost. But then this like last 30 seconds, I'm like, oh yeah, let's go crazy. But yeah, we have the lineup we got coming for y'all is insane, man. Like we really hit our stride, but we got a lineup coming for y'all to lead into the NBA season. And man, I just want y'all to stay tuned in because it's gonna be a lot to talk about. It's gonna be a lot to debate, and we're gonna see where a lot of y'all heads is at as far as y'all basketball, historical knowledge and IQ to a degree even and all of that. So I can't wait. We're gonna have a slew of guests on, man. It's gonna be cold. I'm afraid of Rudy Gobert fans. Those are the fans I'm afraid of. The French, they get down. It looked like GTA 6 out there a while ago. So I take it back. Rudy Gobert is really cold.
On that note, this has been the latest episode of the Right Quality Podcast. And we'll catch y'all next time.
He's so tough, bro. RG3, whatever his number is.